Well, good evening, everybody. And as Mark Vargas said, my name is Jessica Jackson, and I am one of the founders of Chicago Flips Red. Before I get started, it's only right and befitting that I introduce the rest of the people that's here from Chicago Flips Red as well, because we put in the work, and it's a collective effort. So the first person that I want to give introduction to is Zoe Leigh. Zoe Leigh. First person that, based on the fact that her mother was dealing with an issue with property and the fact that we couldn't get any results from the Democratic Party, in a public building commissioners meeting, a very small meeting where Brandon Johnson is there and Tony Preckwinkle, who's the president of Cook County, is there. Well, in that meeting, Zoe Leigh told Brandon Johnson to his face that if he didn't settle her mother's case, she was going to flip this red. Being like-minded, at the same time, I was fighting for my mother's estate. My mother passed in 2016. And my mother had all her ducks in a row. She had an authentic will. She made sure she died with no debt. She had a 3-flat building over on the south side of Chicago that was paid for since I was 15 years old. Only for her to pass on and her estate go to probate, because Illinois state law says that even if your property, if the person has a will, and even if the property is paid for, and even if a person has no debt, if real estate is involved, then it has to go through probate, and that's how Cook County gets their grubby little hands on your property. And from that, I joined with that same mentality when we kept coming to City Hall, and I kept asking for help. I kept asking Mayor Johnson to help me. I kept asking Tony Preckwinkle to help me. I kept asking the aldermen to help me. I kept asking the commissioners to help me. I kept asking everybody to help me because they were trying to steal my property. And I knew for a fact that it wasn't just me. They were trying to steal black people's property. That's what they were doing, and that's what they were doing for a long time. Joined in that same mentality. That if I can't get no help down here from the Democratic Party, then I knew what was necessary. And what was necessary was to get change at the federal level. And we had to get a change at the federal level. That there was no way that they was going to keep my hands tied. There was no way that me knowing that the rights that I have as an American, that somebody's going to tell me that there's nothing that you can do for me when you're trying to create that right in front of me. So I too said, we're going to flip Chicago red. We're going to flip it red. And what does it mean to flip something? To flip something means to turn something over with a quick and sudden movement. And that's what we know we needed to do. We had to move quickly. Because the Democratic Party was killing Chicago. The Democratic Party was killing Illinois. The Democratic Party was killing America. And this is our country too. This is our country. And without further ado, because I don't want my time to run out, but what I do want to make real clear, and we're going to call you Rob B, because I don't know how to say all those last names. But what I want you to know is that I listened to your interview with Tucker Carlson and Joe Rogan because I saw that I was on a program with you. And if I'm going to get on the stage with somebody and I'm going to be on a flyer with somebody, I need to know what they're about. So I listened to your interview. And I'm going to tell you. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Number one, he identified with the corruption of public officials here in the state of Illinois. Chicago has had the reputation of being one of the most corrupt cities, no, the number one corrupt city in America for a very long time. And Illinois is also known for being very corrupt. And when you said about the public corruption and the judicial system being corrupt, my take on that is this. First of all, I did prison ministry for 20 years. And I know how it is, even though people used to ask me, how can you do prison ministry and you've never been to prison? I did prison ministry because I understand what it is to be in bondage. And I understand what it is to be in any type of bondage. It can be mental bondage, emotional bondage, financial bondage, spiritual bondage. And I know that God is able to take anybody out of that bondage. And that was the message. And so what I'm going to do, you don't know it, but I know it, and God knows it. I'm going to work with you, and I'm going to work with Cash on prison reform. And the other members of Chicago Flip Red that are here before my time runs out, I have to recognize them. Because we got a good team. And a lot of people have always said, they always told me and Zoe when we first started coming down to City Hall about how we got to get a lot of people. We got to get a lot of people. That's the problem. It's just y'all too. We got to get a lot of people. And my response to that was always, Jesus had 12 disciples. Not 12 million. And God has given me some beautiful people to work with. I want to acknowledge Danielle Carter, known as Danny C. Matter of fact, Danny, come up here. Zoe, come up here. Come up here. David Mason, come up here, David. And we got some honorary members with us. We got Afro Elite. That's our social media man.